Hello, my wonderful menopausal students. It's so good to be back with you today. I have something a little different for you. I call this the scenario of it doesn't have to be this way. At least the first half of the title is that phrase. We've been discussing the various options for managing your menopause, and we're moving into a section in which I'm going to be presenting a variety of the professionals to help you manage your menopause. But before we launch into the professionals, I want to paint the picture of what you're avoiding by watching these videos. You might actually feel like I'm talking about your very situation as it stood before discovering this education that I'm giving you on menopause. In any case, no matter what, I think you're going to realize that you've already come a long way toward managing your menopause your way. You'll find an abbreviated version of this on pages 31 to 36 of the book. Yep, it's at the very beginning of the book. So, why do I call the first half of the title, It Doesn't Have to Be This Way? Because what I'm going to depict for you today is the way it is for the majority of women. You see, I find it incredibly sad and frankly unacceptable. It's the very thing that I'm determined to change with this educational series on menopause. So let me take you through the typical scenario and then shed light on how different it can be for you. So here's the usual nightmare. You're in your mid to late 40s. You still feel young. You've never even given a thought to menopause. Heck, you hardly even know what menopause is. But something is definitely off. Just the other day, you had a sudden episode of extreme overheating, enough to make you start sweating. You were giving a presentation at work and you didn't feel nervous about it at all until you broke out in a full-fledged sweat right in the middle of it. That's when you became completely flustered and botched the whole thing. You assume you're just tired because you haven't been sleeping well. You fall asleep fairly well, but you keep waking up over and over throughout the night. Sometimes you're soaking wet when you wake up. And it's definitely affecting your memory. You're never at a loss for words, but recently you've totally forgotten what you needed to say to your boss on 3 separate occasions. And these faux pas you've had at work make you kind of worried about losing your job. And it's putting you in a bad mood too. Just yesterday, you literally bit your son's head off when he asked you a simple question. You can't afford to stop working because you're trying to save enough to put both kids through college and retire before you and your husband are like 80. Plus, your elderly parents are in bad shape. They have chronic health problems, along with financial problems, and you're trying to help them with both. You've been trying to drown your woes with alcohol. You literally crave it. And you find yourself drinking 3 or 4 glasses of wine every day. And that's putting weight on you. 13 extra pounds so far. You know you should get some exercise, but you just can't find the time. And your joints have been achy, making you disinterested in anything physical. Oh, and keeping up with your typical beauty regimen has become much more time-consuming. It's not just a haircut every 6 weeks anymore. Now you're dyeing the roots and you're trying to create more volume due to your thinning hair. It just seems to be falling out in gobs. And there are whiskers on your chin that you have to pluck constantly. You've always cared about being really feminine, and these new developments are upsetting. Oh, and speaking of femininity, your vagina is driving you crazy. It itches and it burns. You think you might have a persistent yeast infection. You've avoided having sex with your husband for at least 3 weeks because your vagina is just too uncomfortable. The mere idea of intercourse sounds painful. And you know it's straining your marriage. Oh, and another embarrassing thing happened a week ago. You were laughing and lost a little dribble of urine. It just squirted out and completely caught you off guard. As if you weren't anxious enough, you feel like you're constantly on edge. And then you go and dribble urine on yourself. As you think about all these things, you realize that you've assumed they were all separate events. But a subconscious sinking feeling makes you wonder if they're all part of the same thing. You're too ashamed to mention all of this to anybody, so you decide to suffer in silence. But all these symptoms, along with their consequences, are really making you depressed. And yet you sort of wonder if you're going crazy. And apparently your family does too. Your relationship with your husband is really tense. He says you're no fun to be with and complains that you never have sex anymore. He's a fix-it kind of guy, and he really wants to help you, but he doesn't know what in the world is going on with you. And at times, he thinks that whatever it is that's going on with you is just as hard on him as it is on you. So he's just decided to stay out of your way. And your kids, they're avoiding you too. They say you're mean and irritable. They prefer to go to their friends' houses. Even your own friends are distancing themselves from you. It's obvious that no one has a clue what's going on. Not you, your husband, your kids, your friends, or your boss. You did ask your mother why you felt this way, and she just shrugged it off. But then you overheard two women whispering the word menopause in the ladies' room at work. It was the oddest thing. You got the feeling that they were talking about you. Your first inclination was to just dismiss it, but the notion that they were talking about you keeps nagging. You're not even sure when menopause happens, but you assume that surely you're too young. In any case, you've never cared enough to learn anything about it. If you were to be really honest with yourself, you'd admit that you really sort of thought that if you just ignored it, it would never happen to you. So after 6 months of living with this perpetual misery, you coyly ask your mother when she went through menopause and what it was like for her. She brushes it off and says, "It was nothing." Deep down inside, you wonder if what you're experiencing could be menopause. You're still having periods, but you skip them every now and then. But you're really in denial about the possibility that it's menopause. Still, you know that you have to do something. You're desperate for answers or a quick fix or anything. So you decide to do some research. You sneak off to the library to look for some books on menopause. You really don't know the first thing about it. What you want is a general education. But what you find is all sorts of books on different ways to manage menopause. They range from medical books to anti-medical books, from empowering to submissive, from humorous to angry. But each one seems to promote only one single way to manage menopause. And yet, they're all completely different. One promotes progesterone cream, another one swears by lifestyle changes, the next claims bioidentical hormones are the only way to go. There's even one on herbal therapies. You realize that all these books treat all women as if one size fits all. What you don't see is a purely educational text that lets you decide your management style for yourself. You also notice that the author's credentials range from fitness instructors to naturopathic doctors to medical doctors to celebrities to women who just wrote about their own menopause. And you realize that there's no way you have time to read even a few of these books and actually make sense of them. Besides, your brain is just too fuzzy to learn much of anything right now. So you find yourself thinking, what I want is a book that explains what menopause is and how to recognize it. I'm still not even convinced that I'm dealing with menopause. How have I gotten to this age and learned nothing about it? So desperate and defeated, you call your gynecologist's office and you schedule an appointment. But it's not for another 3 long months. And all the while, you suffer. The night sweats continue. You wake up sleep deprived and fatigued. That makes you forgetful. You feel moody and irritable, and your depression is getting worse by the day. You actually consider taking something for the depression, but there's a stigma attached to that, so you decide to bear it. And you silently hope that this is a medical condition with a quick, easy remedy. Although you're too embarrassed to admit it, you would actually rather have some disease than be going through menopause. I mean, people would have empathy for a disease and they'd embrace you, right? Oh, but menopause, it's like the plague. So finally, the day of your appointment arrives. You actually requested extra time to discuss all these symptoms with your doctor. And when the doctor enters the room, you start by saying you're having night sweats. He glances down at your chart and notes your age. Then you mention that you're depressed. And that's when he interrupts with, oh, this is just menopause. And before you can even digest the fact that your diagnosis is just menopause, he hands you a prescription in a dismissive, perfunctory manner and says, take this. It's what I give all my menopausal patients. And you counter with, is this my only option? What about lifestyle changes or herbal therapy or acupuncture? How can I be sure that hormones are the best option for me? And your physician responds, well, go right ahead and try other things if you wish, but leave me out of it. You're on your own with those voodoo options. I don't believe in alternative and complementary medicine. And as you leave that 6-minute office visit, you're stunned. You realize you have the choice of accepting your physician's recommendation and taking a hormone therapy you're unsure about, or you can forage into the alternative and complementary world on your own. So you reflect back on all those books you saw at the library, and your only thought is, where do I begin? Where is the education to help me decide what to do? If I already knew how I wanted to manage my menopause, I might choose one of those books which focuses on that particular approach. But I don't know what I want because I don't know the pros and cons of each alternative. You feel a sense of guilt about taking hormones, but you're just not sure why. You've heard various comments about how dangerous they are, but you don't know if that's true. And you have one girlfriend who says, oh, they were miraculous for her symptoms and she feels wonderful. And then you have another girlfriend who says they cause cancer. But you just don't know what to believe. You know another woman who says she uses acupuncture, but she has to go to the acupuncturist's office every week. You don't have time for that. And your acupuncture friend says that her hot flashes are merely more tolerable, but that she still has them. You don't want to have to get frequent treatments that don't even really work. You wonder about how all the other options work or don't work. How much don't you know about this menopause thing? If this is normal, why don't you know anything about it? If this is so natural, why is it so elusive? And why doesn't anyone talk about it? If every woman goes through it, it is not uncommon. And it's certainly not minor. Never before have you felt so confused, miserable, and ill-prepared for anything. And to think that this is your final and permanent phase of life, and that it's going to last for 30 or more years. How is it that you're going to spend the rest, almost half of your life as a menopausal woman, and yet you know absolutely nothing about it? There is something terribly wrong with this situation. And why is it that every time you think about menopause, you can't help but thinking about being a dried up, shriveled old lady? It's like you can't separate being old from being menopausal. You wonder, will anyone still want you around? Okay, stop. Stop. That's the end of that scenario. The scenario I have just painted is the norm. The cluelessness, the secrecy, the denial, the desperation, the search for a quick fix, the prolonged misery, the dread of aging, and the feeling that you are absolutely uneducated for it. Can you believe it? In this day and age, most women still have no idea what to expect when they begin experiencing menopause. And this is exactly what I'm trying to change with these tutorials. That's why I start by assuming you know nothing. And that's why I translate the medical lingo into the non-medical lingo. And it's why I tell you to watch the videos in order. I don't want you to be the woman depicted in that scenario. I read your comments about the videos, and I can tell you that this kind of thing is still all too common. So ladies, we're going to change that. Here's the way it should be. You and every woman everywhere should receive an education about menopause long before you start experiencing any of the symptoms. That way, you know what to anticipate. And then when you start transitioning through menopause, you know that you're not going crazy. In my practice, I made every woman spend an extra hour face-to-face with me when she turned 40 so that I could start this educational process. Because you see, it takes time to learn this stuff. And then once you know what menopause is and what to expect when it comes your way, you need to know what your options entail. You need to know that there is no one management option that is suitable for all women. You need to acknowledge the fact that you know yourself better than anyone else does, and that no one's opinion matters but your own. But you have to know facts so that you can make good decisions for yourself. You can't let fear and misconceptions be your guiding forces. And even then, you need to know which professionals can help you manage your menopause your way. Just as all the options are not created equal, neither are the professionals for assisting you. So in the next several videos, I'm going to be bringing each kind of menopause professional to you so that they can tell you firsthand what they can do for you. And that will save you from having to make appointments and run all over town to figure out what you want. See, it's all about expectation. And that'll make tailoring your menopause your way so much easier. So my goal, I'm here to teach you everything you need to know about menopause and then some. My goal is to help you tailor information to your own needs and desires. And just as all women are not alike in their preferences, they're not all alike in how they learn either. And they're not all alike in how much time they have to learn this material before they need to apply it. Are they? So, I am expanding my services to you. You know, these videos are great. I love them. They're wonderful. I love making them. And I'll continue making them forever and ever. Amen. They're not going to go away. But you can see that it's going to take a long time to get through all this information one video at a time. I mean, This video is number 46. I have over 300 videos on my syllabus for you. So, if you're in your early 40s and your menopause is many years away, you might have time to watch the videos as your only source of education on menopause, and that will work well for you. But if you're in the throes of perimenopause and you need all this information pronto, the videos, while very fun and informative, may not deliver the information quickly enough for you. It's just one video a week. Of course, there's my book. Granted, I actually give you more information in the videos than I can possibly give in my book, but the book has everything you need. So that's one way to get the information more quickly. And maybe you learn well by reading. If you're motivated to sit and actually read my book, it can serve all your needs. But hey, reading may not be your learning style. So I am adding more options to my list of services for you. I will be giving my 12-hour menopause seminar every quarter, once every quarter. If you need the information quickly and you're in the middle of all this misery, the seminar may be the thing for you. The seminar takes place over 2 days. It's 6 hours each day. And voila, in 2 days you get the whole menopause education all at once, everything that's in the book. It's fun, it's lively, it's fairly instantaneous. You get everything you need with no delay. You get the outline notes, we work through the entire worksheet, and one of the greatest things about the seminar is that you get to see why your options should differ from those of the other women at the seminar. As the women mingle, they see why Susie should want this but Mary shouldn't, because you see how different you are. And every woman who has ever attended one of my seminars says that not one day goes by that she doesn't use something she learned at the seminar to make a decision. She may be in a restaurant looking at a menu, she uses some information she learned. She may be in the grocery store shopping, but she will use the information every day. So if you want to attend a seminar, I give them in Houston, Texas, once every quarter. Space is limited, so register early. You can go to my website, menopausetailor.me, for all the details, and you'll find an seminar extremely worthwhile. It may be the best investment you ever make in yourself. Okay, so what if you can't come to Houston? Or what if you can't afford to attend a seminar? Well, I've got something else for you. You can buy the seminar in DVD or other on-demand formats. If you're motivated enough to actually sit and watch the entire 12-hour seminar on a computer screen, then you can take advantage of it that way. You're not going to get the same benefit of actually being at a live seminar and seeing the differences between yourself and the other seminar participants, but you'll still get the education. So go to my website, menopausetailor.me, for all the details on the on-demand seminar options. And surprise! I have a giveaway for you. Today I'm giving away one free DVD, and to sign up for that, go to my website, fill out the entry form, and we are leaving this offer open for 1 week. The cutoff time will be 11:59 p.m., 1 minute before midnight, on April 25th, Central Time in the U.S. I know that you may live someplace outside the U.S., on the other side of the globe. Time frames matter, time zones matter. So 11:59 p.m. Central Time on April 25th, that's the deadline. And then we'll notify you if you're the winner. Okay, so let's say that you've gotten the education, but you still need some help honing in on your best options. And what you really want is to sit down with me face to face for a one-on-one consultation. I'll do that too. But be sure you understand, the consultation is not a shortcut to getting the education. There's no way I can educate you adequately during a consultation. And we can't get very far in fine-tuning everything just right for you if you don't know the facts that I teach you in the book or the seminar or the DVD or the videos. So make sure that you get the education first. And once you're educated, I'll be happy to consult with you. For that, you can go to my website, menopausetailor.me, for all the details on scheduling a consultation. So you see, there's something for everyone. No matter how you learn, no matter how much time you have, no matter how much money you can invest in yourself, I've got something to help you get the education you deserve somehow, some way. You've got these videos, you've got my menopause book, the on-demand seminar and DVD or other on-demand formats, the live seminar, the one-on-one consultations. I think I've got you covered, right? Oh, and if you just want to talk about menopause or listen to other people talk about menopause, I've got a radio show. It airs on SOB Network, which stands for Spunky Old Broad. And it's just people talking about menopause because people don't talk about it. I'm getting people to talk about it. Maybe you'd like me to interview you on my show, or maybe you want to tell your menopausal experience. If so, you can do that. Again, just go to my website, menopausetailor.me, for all the details, and you can sign up for the show there. I hope you realize how dedicated I am to helping you. And I hope that you are dedicated enough to yourself to invest some time into getting this education so that you can make the rest of your life the best of your life. I don't want you to be the woman in that nightmare. And even if you're beyond the transition and you say you don't have many symptoms, I don't want you to be a woman who looks back when she's 70 or 80 and says, why didn't anyone tell me about this stuff? I had no symptoms. I thought everything was fine. That's going to be a bad situation too. I want you to have the education. So however you can get it, whatever it takes for you to get it, please make sure you get the education. Gather your friends, bring them along for this educational journey, and save them from that nightmare scenario also. Okay, I'll leave you for now, and I'll see you again in a week. Regardless of what else you do, don't stop watching these videos. I love visiting with you each week. Bye.